What's up, guys? Chimp here with another quick market update. And it's been a couple days since we did the last one. Bitcoin went all the way down to 112. Some alts got pretty wrecked. And so the question now is, what's next? And so let's just go through some of the indicators we've been looking at and talk a little bit about the market. Okay, so to start, global open interest. I've been talking a lot about this. It's been a concern of mine. The good news is it's down close to 20%. So, and now it's gonna freeze up, but clearly there's been a lot of deleveraging. Now, global open interest before we pumped, let's just say like a couple days before we pumped, was at 72 billion. So it's still at 88, right? So there is a delta between price where it was and where it is, right? Like maybe 3, 4, 5%. But there's like a 20% delta in open interest. So I would say a lot of froth has come out, but there's still some amount of froth in the market, which is going to sort of lead to my thought process here, which is like low time frame. I'm really not sure what this market's going to do. Clearly, like you've had this sort of suppressive, like I wouldn't even call this suppressive. It just looks like distribution. So maybe that continues. Maybe you get a pop, right? So with these sorts of things, like even when the market tops, sometimes you get the situation where bulls still have money. Like the money in the market doesn't go from 100 to 0 in a straight line. So like, yeah, a lot of people got liquidated, especially like the really big degens like Trader Aguila or whatever, right? You could go look at that guy. He was down 30 mil. He was in the green for a brief period of time, and then he lost everything, literally in like a 5% range, which is unreal, like losing 30, $40 million. So low time frame, I'm not sure. Like bulls definitely still have some money. They could definitely bid some assets up, which we've seen in the last like 24 to 36 hours. Like some of these coins are up, right? Pengu, I saw, for example, pumped like 10-15%. Doge pumped a little bit. ETH pumped a little bit. But overall, like, bulls have money, but the most degenerate of bulls, which is why, again, I'll go to altcoins in a second. I think, like, and actually, before I go on, let me pause and say, like, this is sort of the part of the market where you kind of have to think logically. That's why I'm going to go through some data and so forth, but I'm also going to sort of, like, try to talk you through my thought process here, which is when you look at how hard open interest ripped and how hard all these alts ripped, it was the most degenerate of bulls that were sort of aping in, right? And so now that you've had like this pretty big washout across the board, we've lost those participants. Now, anyone who is even a smidge less than that level of degenerate still has money. And so, for the most part, there should still be people to bid, right? And so that's why, like, lower time frame, I think you could see a lot more chop. I think, like, from a high level perspective, one, on the altcoin front, I just don't see it. I don't see a rally similar to what we saw 2 or 3 weeks ago repeat itself, because a lot of those guys have gotten washed, right? And so there's only so much money in this market, and like you saw so much shit like basically go bananas, right? Like XRP made a new all-time high and so forth. SPX made a new all-time high. So like you could see so my base case for altcoins right now is you could see individual runners, but you're not going to see like the same level of breadth and pump that you saw beforehand. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, I still think there's the same issue that we talked about before, which is you don't have many long-term buy. Like you have the treasury scam basically complete, right? Like Sailor can't buy anymore. You have Metaplanet who bought like 400 Bitcoin or whatever. Like basically the treasuries are slowing down and they're going to stop. And then at some and basically what that means is that moving forward, they're actually basically a increased level of fragility in the market because they could reverse, they could close up. Like I don't know how the redemptions work. Basically, like once that scam reverses, it becomes like GBTC, where the only risk is that that money comes back out and it tanks the market even further. So there's also that, which I think is looming on the market. And I talked about it before, right? Like stocks went down the other day and ETF flows. And I talked about it, like ETF flows can reverse, and we've basically seen that, right? Like the last 2 weeks have been neutral, maybe a little bit positive, and then Friday finally, when stocks even sneezed, ETFs mega outflowed, $800 million of outflows. And so again, I still think that fragility exists. Like we've had one down day in stocks. If you get multiple down days, like I can see that fragility sort of continuing. And so when I think about who the bid side is going to be on Bitcoin, like to push us to 150, I just don't see who that's going to be unless like stocks go. You have that David Hunter case where stocks melt up and then ETFs inflow crazy amounts of money. So basically, like the upside is you have some crazy hyper melt up across all asset classes, and ETFs inflow a crazy amount. But the base case to me is like fragility in the treasury companies, fragility from these ETF flows moving forward. And so, again, I just don't see who necessarily the long term bid is going to be. It's going to go through like a sample case with alts, but actually, I think I'm going to pass on that, and I'm just going to go straight to the lick map. So, well, I just wanted to show you two liquidation maps on Hyperliquid because I don't know how accurate these things are necessarily. Maybe there's alpha here, maybe there isn't. But clearly you have a lot of retail flow on Hyperliquid now, and so if you're trying to quote-unquote grab an edge from the market, it definitely seems like you want to be looking there as well. So let's look at Bitcoin, right? So you do have some apes doing some degenerate short shit, right? Like you have some like 200 Bitcoin, short lick at like 117. You have a bigger one around 119 for about 1,000 Bitcoin. Again, the major pocket of big liquidations is sort of sitting at about 125. On the flip side, like you see this heavy distribution of longs that are potentially going to get liquidated if we go to like 110, 107, right? Like this, there's a fat like distribution of longs that are huntable from like 105 to 112, and that concerns me. Now again, like I don't know the degree of the alpha, so when I look at this and say, oh, we're going to drop tomorrow, no. I'm just saying, like, it's something that's a little bit concerning, when I look at it. And it's the same story with alts, right? Like, I've been talking about this with alts, and I think there's a lot of people in these alts that got in that are underwater, and, like, Fartcoin's a good example because it's sort of one of these, like, echo alts. And there's still a lot of big long liquidations. Like, you hit 50 cents, you hit 75 cents, like, you're going to hit a lot of these liquidations. So, I guess to summarize, what's my view on the markets? Low time frame. We could chop, we could go up, we could go down. I'm not sure. There's been a good amount of deleveraging, and bulls still have money, and so I can't say whether we're gonna, be trading at 117 or like 111 or 110. Like I just don't know. Mid time frame. Again, I don't see altcoins as like a broad swath all making new all-time highs. You could see runners. And with Bitcoin, I don't know where that bid comes from that sends Bitcoin to 150, right? Because the treasuries are done, the ETFs have slowed down. So where's that money come from, right? Is it going to be like a Trump strategic reserve? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. So anyways, we'll see what happens. Just want to release a quick update. And until next time, take care, guys.